We sit down with Ryan, Justin, and Spence of Driftless Provisions. We learn about handcrafted salami, charcuterie, and how they got their start. We also delve into their history and find out what sets their products apart, along with what's on the horizon for this business. You can find more conversations on our website, lacrosselocal.com. I'm Amy.
And I'm Brent.
And this is Lacrosse Local.
I guess I'll kick off. Ryan Wagner, born in Newton, Wisconsin, or actually born in Manitowoc, but eastern side of the state. And my meat story goes back to when I was growing up hunting and curing and making venison sausage with old German folk in the Manitowoc area. So we would make some of the best summer sausage that I've still had to this day. Super smoky and very unique compared to anything else you just buy off the shelf. So that's always been with me. And as I grew older and grew into food and sharing the way I cook and the way I hunt with folks, it became pretty apparent that my knowledge and the old timers' knowledge wasn't really holding on as strong as it should be. And people wanted to know what I did and how I did it and share good food with each other. So that's kind of how I came around to doing what I do.
My name's Justin. I grew up in Brandon, South Dakota. I came into food through, I didn't grow up with a real affection for food, but I've always appreciated the capacity it has to create like the sense of gathering. It's like food as a convener has always motivated me, and the opportunity to get into a fine craft like this was very exciting for me. And I'm here with Ryan, sort of roped me into this.
Yeah, my name's Spencer Schaller, born and raised in La Crosse, spent some time traveling. I guess out of the group, I'm the one that came from the restaurant side. I've been cooking for 12 years throughout the Driftless region. I met Ryan probably about 6 years ago, and just recently, for a month ago, left the restaurant industry and got roped in like Justin into the salami dreams.
So just hearing you guys kind of talk about your backgrounds, traditional aspects of it, of people asking about how do you do this? What's the process with that? How did Driftless Provisions get its start?
To be honest, it started in a root cellar in the Driftless region. So I tasted salami or good salami probably for the first time only 6-7 years ago. And I thought, this is different. This is different than the German summer sausage. And this is super unique. And then I did just a little research and realized that it was kind of up and coming in the US. So I thought, okay, let's make a business out of this, but I have to figure out how to do it. So started making it in a root cellar when I moved out here to the Driftless region in Viroqua, and from there handed it out. And Spencer might have been one of my first, not customers, but first people to try the salami. And as a chef, he didn't spit it out. And I thought, hey, we can do this.
We had to work on pronunciation though.
Yeah, my pronunciation of some of the European salami types was very off. But from there, it was quite obvious that as a startup of this nature in the Midwest, we were unique. So we could run with that and be not the first to market from this area, because there's others out there, but one of the first to markets, and build off of that and help train, I guess, the Midwest palate of what charcuterie actually is.
Yeah, I can imagine just from my own experience working at Bridal's Meat Market, which is now Bubba's Meat Market on Redfield Street in La Crosse, more of the traditional summer sausages, the bologna, everything from brown schwager to blood sausages. So what sets your product apart? I mean, it sounds like you have the traditional European influences, but what really kind of makes it stand on its own?
As far as that goes, this tradition is extraordinarily old, and most of us who are making salami are making it more or less the same way. It's fermented, it's dry cured, it's consolidated form of a sausage. One of the strong differentiators is sort of what is the guiding, maybe for us at least, what we like to imagine is the guiding ethos, which is, we're rooted here in a landscape of right practice and growing in harmony with seasons in the landscape. And we're trying to, wherever we have the opportunity, these things shape our practice. And so I guess I'll leave it there. Like this ethos that we're shaped by. On a practical level, there's a couple things that differentiate us. We're the only, the three of us are distinguishing. Our product tends to be a little smaller. Price point is lower. You get more variety for your dollar in these cases, but I think the big ticket thing is that our ethos.
I was going to dovetail off of that just a little bit and touch on the fact that we're bringing the three of us to the table. If you look at our lineup, we're bringing elk and venison salami to the forefront, and that's sort of something that I wanted to do right away because that's what I started using when I started making salami, was the venison that we would harvest. So we're really excited that Spencer is on board now, bringing that chef background, that trained chef background to the table and to the new facility here where we can get super creative. Also have a smokehouse that we're about to get online within the next hopefully month or so, and that will shape our business in a new way as well.
So what's been the public response to the business and the items?
I think great. It's very difficult to tell with COVID. With COVID happening, it was difficult to get in front of people and see reactions. Whereas our first year in business, Justin and I sat in front of customers at farmers markets every week for that first summer and into fall. And like I said earlier, kind of maybe not training, but getting people to understand and experience charcuterie. It was really joyful just to give somebody a tiny piece of meat and watch the reaction. That was really nice. And obviously things changed all of last year where we didn't have that. So now it's online responses or online, feedback, which isn't always the best feedback, but people are more candid when they're writing anonymously. It's been great. And people still write to us and say, hey, this is awesome, and chime in on our social media as well.
You just mentioned there, it's probably tough for being, just in business for about a year and then COVID just came about. How's that experience been? I've actually heard that people have been spending a lot more online. They're not even spending less, but they're actually going after, I wouldn't say maybe luxury goods, but, unique items online. Has it been good for you guys, or is it something that you don't have nothing to base it off of?
It's hard to say. We expected to grow, and we did grow a little. So we didn't suffer very much from lack of interest, I guess you would say. And our online sales grew a little bit. Our wholesale sales grew a little bit. It wasn't astronomical. I think if we had been positioned a little bit better with maybe a year or two longer building awareness and an audience, we might have done even better. But all in all, it was a fine year for us.
Yeah, we were actually able to take the slowdown in stride and focus on the new facility here, which was really nice. I'm not sure if we would have had the wherewithal or the time to put into the energy that needed to happen here in the new facility had we been hitting the road and doing crazy amounts of sales. But as it turned out, buyers stopped taking in-person visits to the stores and whatnot, and the production kind of slacked because of some things, including COVID. But we were able to put the time and effort into this facility and are super jacked to get it online.
Yeah, Ryan spent the summer raising funds for this. And so, all in all, we were really lucky, we feel like, to have the audience we have and the supporters we have to make this happen.
You mentioned the smokehouse a few times. What's coming up for the business? So it's the smokehouse, and what else do you have online for 2021?
Oh, man. Spencer?
I guess our first thing is kind of just like the old world that, Ryan has been kind of talking about. The way that we craft salami is kind of, that's the approach we want to take with everything that we have. So I think, the big thing is probably bacon is probably one thing that we're going to look at, and not your traditional, but maybe more so like grandma and grandpa's old school butcher shop, where it was just the salt and sugar cure, maybe just a little bit of maple from the Driftless region. And we kind of want to highlight that instead of traditionally nowadays bacon is injected with a salt brine or it's put into a salt brine. Thus the process is 2 to 3 times as fast as what it normally would be. So I think for us, that's the one big thing that we're super excited about for that. Taking our salami, possibly putting a cold smoke on it before it goes into fermentation, and dry curing, just to kind of alter flavors a little bit and do something that, we haven't had before. So I think that addition to the salami game, it just kind of gives us multiple different facets where we can utilize the smokehouse in many different ways. Hopefully some sausages down the road. We've been talking to andouille, things like that not a ton of the area, has seen before, but hopefully we can add that in there.
So with your smoker, are you going to be doing it over a log flame, or is it electric? We used to put flaming wood on top of a garbage can and just kick it into this room and lock the door.
I mean, that's the old school way. I had a good buddy, Roger Luce, that has his smokehouse out in the backyard, brick, just a brick building, and he would run into that thing and smoke would come out and he would be in there for too long. And then he'd come out, his eyes would be red, he'd be coughing, but the products were amazing. And that's not going to be how we operate. Not that I don't want to do that, but with the USDA facility, we've got some tighter restrictions, time and temperature restrictions, that is more difficult to get with that old school style of smoking. It's not off my radar necessarily, just because we've got one of the other companies in this building, Wisco Pop, the owner there, Austin, really loves old school smoking. And he's been pushing us to get an old barrel and do those types of, I guess, smoke products that would be fun down the road, probably more apt to be retail exempt products rather than USDA stamped, ready for wholesale products.
Well, cool. Just wanted to know. He always said it was good smoke. It was good smoke for you. If people want to find out more about your business, what's the best avenue for them to follow?
Either find us online, driftlessprovisions.com, or on Instagram. We're active there at Driftless Provisions. Or, in La Crosse, the People's Food Co-op. In Viroqua, the Viroqua Food Co-op. And watch, I guess, your local retailers will be there soon, I think.
Sure. And just one more question. If you could go through each one of you, what is something that you're currently enjoying, like one of your products right now, that you think is the number one on your list for people to check out if they've never had it before?
Paprika, a little spicy, just a delightful snack.
I really tend to go towards that wild game meat. So the elk cacciatore or the venison picante, either or. The elk were currently out of stock, but hopefully hitting the shelves within the next month or so. It's got a little kick, but then the coriander puts this kind of wild blueberry sort of taste to it. For whatever reason, it's a little interesting.
I would say mine is probably the spicy finocchiona, and the reason is I think in the pizza world, that's probably the one salami that we have right now that I would showcase as kind of a nice topping on pizza. And I feel like everyone right now, especially during COVID, is throwing pizza out there. So if I was going to do a homemade pizza or something, I'd probably lend towards that one.
La Crosse Local Podcast is a production of River Travel Media. Do you have an interview idea you'd like to share with us? Message us on Facebook at La Crosse Local. Find out more about us at lacrosselocal.com, and you can subscribe to the La Crosse Local Podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you like us, rate us 5 stars. We appreciate it.